In the last video, I created the product, the inventory item, and the cart. If you decided to skip walking through that and want to grab the code for these types, you'll find them in the resources section of this video. Give yourself a few minutes to examine the code. Product is a record. Inventory item is a fairly simple class with methods to adjust quantities. For the cart class, I used a hash map for the products. I chose a map so I could get items by their SKU, and so I could store the quantity of the item in that map. I also decided items in my cart really don't need to be ordered. If you think about a physical shopping cart, it can often just be a pile of items. A set might have been a good alternative if only one item for each product was allowed in the cart. I could also have used an array list, or two of them, one to manage the products and one to manage the quantity for each product. But that's really the purpose of a map. In this video, I'm going to finish coding the store class and start working with the inventory counts, setting up a few shopping sessions. Getting back to the store now, I first want to set up a static field for a random instance. I'll use it to assign different prices to my products later. You've seen me do something similar to this before as well. I'll next set up my collection fields on this class. I'm going to make inventory a map keyed by the SKU. The carts collection can be a set. I'm going to make it a navigable set reference type because I want to use navigable set methods as I look for abandoned carts later. I'll instantiate it as a tree set, passing a comparator to the constructor that orders the tree set by the cart's ID. The aisle inventory is going to be a map keyed by the product category. For this, the type of the element is going to be another map, a nested map. The nested map will have the product name as its key and the inventory item as the value. You might be asking, why do I have this aisle inventory? Well, somebody in a store is probably going to be looking for items by an aisle category and a product name or description. These two maps emulate the two different ways shoppers are likely to get a product. A shopper in the store will be looking for items first by category and then by recognition of the product by name. An online shopper may proceed that way, but may also simply enter a catalogue number, the SKU. Next, I'm going to set up a bunch of methods which I'll implement later. I'll have a method to manage store carts. I need a method called checkoutCart that takes a cart and returns a boolean if that operation was successful. For now, I'll return false. I want a method called abandonCarts and a method called listProducts by category. I also want two methods I didn't show on the slide, helper methods to set up my store. The first one is StockStore. The second one is StockAisles. Okay, this might look like a lot of work, but it's not as bad as it looks. I have to set up some products first, which will let me stock the store and aisles, so I'm going to do that in the StockStore method. First, I'll instantiate my inventory field to a new hash map. Next, I'll set up a list of products, a new array list. I'm going to paste my products in. If you wish to do the same, this bit of code will be in the resources section of this video in a file called product data. Here, I'm using my product record to set up a bunch of products in my 5 categories. The SKU is the first field, then a simple name to describe the product, followed by its manufacturer, and then the category. Now that I have my products, I can set up my inventory map. I've made it a hash map because I really don't need my inventory to be ordered. I am using a map because it's nice to quickly retrieve the information by the SKU field. I'll loop through products and use a lambda expression to put a new instance of a new inventory item into the inventory map using the SKU as the key. I can create an inventory item with a product, a price, an inventory quantity total, and low inventory number. Here I'm using the next double method on my static random field, passing it 0 and 1.25. I'll use that generated value as the price of my item. Okay, that's my inventory setup. At this point, I want to print it out to confirm that my map looks the way it should. I'll do that by calling for each on inventory. I'm going to put this in another private method that I'll call listInventory. I'll loop through the values on my inventory and print each out. I'll test this out before I stock my store aisles. So getting back to the main method, I'll create a new store instance and assign that to the myStore variable, then just call StockStore on this, and list inventory to print the inventory. Running this code now. I get all my inventory printed, the SKU as the key, the product information and the price, which was randomly generated. Because inventory is a hash map, there's no particular order here. Now it's time to code the stock aisles method. How should I set up the aisles inventory collection? Well, I know I want it to be keyed by the product category, but what should the collection element be? If you think about how a shopper might look for their item, they'd first find the right aisle, then search the shelves for the product or product name they want. This is why I wanted the map to contain a nested map. I'll set this up as a new instance of an enum map, passing it my categories class. I'll loop through my inventory. I'll get category for the item, obtaining that from a call to get product. I want a new local variable for my nested map. I'll check if it's already in my aisle inventory using the aisle or category key. If that's null, it's not in my map. So I'll set up a new tree map. If you think about items on shelves, they'd be stocked on the shelves in some order. In my case, it will be by product name. In either case, I'm going to add the inventory item keyed by the product name. And I only need to put this in the map if it's not there already, so I'll use put if absent. I'll print this out, but I want to do this in the list products by category method. First, I'll loop through my aisle inventory's key, the product category. I'll print the key, which is the category, between a couple of dashed lines. I'll get the map by that key, and I'll loop through the nested maps keys. I'll go back to the main method and add a call to these two methods next. Running that now. You can see how my aisles are stocked and in what order. The order of my aisles is in the same order I set up my constants in the category enum, and the products are alphabetical by name. Okay, so now that my store is stocked and there are products in my aisles, I can start letting the customers in. I'll set up the code for the manage store carts method next. First, I want a cart 1, and I'll assign that a new instance of the cart passing my type. Since cart type is a nested enum, it's implicitly static. That means I need to reference it using the cart class name, then cart type, and then the constant I want to pass here, and this is a physical cart. I'm also passing an integer, which will adjust the cart date. This means one day will be subtracted from today when creating this cart. I want some carts with yesterday's date to test abandoning them later. I'll add the new cart to my carts set on this store. I can add items by using the aisle inventory map, first selecting the aisle by the product category and then the product name. I'll add the apples to my cart and the quantity 6. I'll print this first cart out. I'll now make a call to this method in the main method. If I run that now, you can see I get my cart's information printed out. My products, apples, are printed by their SKU A100. And look at the date on my cart. It's yesterday's date. I want to print the inventory again after this, but this time I want my inventory printed out by category, then product, but with the inventory details. I'll copy the list products by category method and paste a copy below. In this overloaded version, I want two parameters, include header, a boolean, and include detail, also a boolean. I only want to print the key in the dashed part if include header is true, so I'll slip an if statement in there. I want to print just the keys if no detail is requested, but the value otherwise, so I'll set this up with an if then else statement around the last statement. I'll insert the if statement. If include detail is false, I'll just print the keys as before. Otherwise I want to print the value. So I'll add an else statement and loop through the values of the submap, printing each. Now I'll go to the overloaded version with no parameters. I'll remove the code that's there. I'll replace that with a call to the overloaded method, passing true for include header and false for include detail. This means the default will include a header, but no inventory detail. Okay, now I want to use the overloaded version in my main method. I will call it with no headers and with the detail included. Running this code now to verify the result. You can see inventory details printed, but this time by category and within category by product name. I can confirm that the reserved amount for apples is 6, but the quantity total is still 1,000 since I haven't actually sold the product yet. I'll add a couple more items to my cart. This time I'll just do this in one statement. I'll add a produce item, pear, and 5 of those. And then I want a beverage, coffee, and just quantity 1 for this. Running this code. You can see my cart has 3 items listed by SKU, and the inventory is showing the reserved quantities, 5 for pear and 1 for coffee. Now let's remove a couple of pears from the last cart. I'll call remove item and pass the produce category with pear and 2, so I want to remove 2 of the 5 pears in my cart, and I'll print the cart to confirm that's working. I get the message that 2 pears were removed. My cart after the removal has quantity 3 for P100, the SKU for pears. And the inventory was adjusted too, so I have 3 reserved, not 5, so that's good. This means that so far the inventory is being managed correctly when adding or removing items from a cart. I'll stop this video here. In the next video, I want to check out a shopping cart and delete abandoned carts. I'll see you in the next video.